Okay. All right. Kate, for an axillary rib stress injury, what I try to do is to find a serratus anterior insertion, start from about T3, and just tape straight down. Typically, this is where the injury occurs, right around the anterior axillary line. So I'm just going to kind of start up top, not put much tension on. Let's get it right at the lat area. Also, long thoracic nerve is in this area too, oftentimes restricted in scar tissue. And just put a little bit of tension on there. And we're gonna just start with that piece, going superior to inferior. All right, the next piece is going to go from pretty much from the sternum, sternocostal junction, all the way to the back. Now this piece isn't that long, so I'm going to just shorten it up a little bit. Typically I'd cut a longer piece. Okay, and I'm going to go at the level where the injury is. All right, so T5, 6, 6, 7, 7, 8, the most common ones. I'm just going to start here to secure that. I'm going to put about 10 to 25% tension depending on how irritable it is. And we're going to wrap around, just turn to the right. Good. And we're going to just follow that line and go right to the spinous process of that same rib level. Okay. Now, oftentimes, bring this arm across. Okay, sit facing that way, Carly. Just move it down. Okay, oftentimes there's restriction and tenderness at the posterior shoulder. Okay, and also an insertion of the lower trapezius. So keep this elbow up. So I'm going to, oftentimes, if this is tight and restricted, I'm going to take a piece and just stretch out that posterior quadrant. And I'm going to start from the spinous process. Just kind of overlap a little bit, okay, and come up to the posterior shoulder and just wrap it around where the teres minor, posterior deltoid, and the quadrangular space usually end up. If the rower can't bring the arm across, then this whole segment here starts to overwork. So that's another reason just to loosen all this up. Get the rhomboid, posterior deltoid, and the teres minor. And to secure everything, just bring your arm down and just slouch down. Good. And just going to put them in a little bit of a slouch. And I'm just going to take this last piece, start it around T3, right at the superior angle of the scapula, and just secure these pieces and just come all the way down the paraspinals, because oftentimes they're sore and restricted. So if there's no posterior restriction, the scapula and the posterior shoulder, then I leave this piece out, and then I'll just stick with 3 pieces. So come back to the front again. Good. Just bring the arm up overhead. Good. So again, just opening up the ribs, going T3 to about T9, sternum to the spinous process at the level of the injury. Good. Turn around again. Okay. Rhomboid to posterior deltoid, and then the paraspinals T3 to 9. And that pretty much wraps it up for an axillary rib stress injury.